After a brilliant Next Fest, Ashes of the Singularity II has revealed its third and final faction. We'll take a look at what the substrate brings to the battlefield, but first a potential Star Wars Game of the Year. I'm very excited. All that and more. Welcome to Critical News. Star Wars Zero Company was announced at Star Wars Celebration in 2025 and then went almost completely quiet. A year of silence is long enough that some people had written it off. This week PC Gamer published a hands-on preview and it turns out the wait was worth it. BitReactor is the studio behind this game, led by Greg Furch, who founded the studio after 22 years at Firaxis. He was art director on the rebooted XCOM series and Marvel Midnight Suns. The narrative lead is Aaron Contreras, who wrote Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor at Respawn. Can you see where I'm going with this? As a strategy fan and Star Wars fanatic, this is a team to be excited about. They have the experience to make Zero Company an incredible title. The game is set during the Clone Wars and follows Hawks, a former Republic officer turned mercenary, commanding a squad of professionals for hire. You control Hawks in third person between missions, exploring environments at the level of detail of the Jedi Fallen Order title, before the camera pulls back to the full tactical view when combat begins. The PC Gamer preview confirms that both modes are executed at a high level, which is the thing that tends to fall apart when games try to blend the two. The tactical layer is XCOM in structure: 4-unit squads, action points, cover, overwatch, permadeath. The action point system includes a shared advantage pool earned through attacks, spent on special abilities and ultimates. This adds a layer of resource management on top of the standard AP economy. 8 standard classes are available to Hawks and recruited mercenaries, alongside restricted exotic classes including Jedi Padawan and Mandalorian Warrior tied to specific story characters. There is a 4th exotic class that BitReactor have not revealed yet. During the operations layer that sits between combat missions, you'll choose intelligence gathering activities on a galaxy map. Choices have consequences. Ignore an operation and the enemy faction it relates to gains a permanent upgrade. Run it and you decide which of the 2 upgrades they don't get. Some operations feed into ongoing side stories and the choices you make in them have consequences. Help someone and they come back with useful information. Shoot them and they come back with a grudge. Permadeath applies to every squad member except Hawks. Named characters with authored storylines can die and stay dead, and the story continues without them. Furch has been direct about the reasoning. He wants players to sit with loss rather than reload. The enemy design is built to force those decisions, including a cultist faction whose members buff allies when killed, meaning careless elimination can turn a routine encounter into a serious problem. No release date has been confirmed beyond 2026, but the preview suggests the game is close. The production values are described as genuinely high, the systems are apparently in good shape, and the Star Wars license has been handled with enough care that Lucasfilm's involvement in the process is visible in the final product. A year of silence, and this is what's being built. Worth the wait, and now we wait some more. Last week's Xbox partner preview was 30 minutes and 19 games, which tells you everything you need to know about how much detail any individual title received. Most of what was shown will be forgotten by next weekend. Vaunted probably will not be, and the fact that the trailer was sandwiched between Bluey's Happy Snaps and a frog co-op platformer says a lot about how much value Xbox is putting on this title. Lost Lake Games is a new studio, but the people inside it are anything but new. James Finney leads the project. He was lead designer on StarCraft at Blizzard and worked at ArenaNet on Guild Wars. That's the experience you need if you want to bring a debut strategy title to the mainstream, and with Hooded Horse attached as a publisher, this has potential to get noticed by gamers outside of the core strategy community. The setup: a millennium after the collapse of the last galactic empire, mercenaries and treasure hunters are fighting over whatever Imperial relics remain scattered across the ruins. You control 3 of them: Dice, Gendril, and Kaivath, who have returned empty-handed from a disastrous expedition and now have a very unhappy syndicate demanding answers. Dice is a liar and a con artist who finds the shortest path to the richest treasure. Gendril is a battle-scarred mercenary for whom violence is usually the first and last resort. Kaivath is the last of her kind, a warlock with cybernetic enhancements and a personal agenda that involves everyone else being a means to an end. They are 3 people with incompatible priorities who happen to be in the same room rather than an organised team. The narrative structure is where this gets interesting. You're telling the story of the expedition through 3 unreliable narrators, and every exposed lie and half-truth opens new branches. When a hero dies, rather than ending the run, you get the opportunity to rewrite the current chapter from the surviving hero's perspective. This changes what missions are available, what conversations happen, and how the same events are framed. That is not a gimmick, it's the central mechanical system, and we won't know if it works until we get our hands on the game. The combat blends real-time third-person shooting with turn-based mechanics and no initiative order. You control who acts and when, alternating activations with the enemy. Companions join the three main characters, each with skill trees, randomized upgrades, and class-based loadouts ranging from sentry turrets and jetpacks to sniper rifles. The Valkyria Chronicles comparison has been made by the developers themselves, so they have set the bar high. Vaunted is coming to the PC via Steam, Epic, and the Microsoft Store later this year, and will be on PC Game Pass. A few weeks ago we covered the Next Fest numbers for Ashes of the Singularity II in some detail, so the short version, an RTS demo in early development finished in the top 50 most played games across the entire festival, one out of more than 3,000 titles. It topped the real-time strategy category and ranked in the top 1% of all Steam titles for wishlists and downloads during the event. At the time of Next Fest, the Substrate faction was missing from the demo. This week Stardock confirmed they are in the game and the 3-faction roster is now complete. Veterans of the original Escalation will know who the Substrate are. Harley, the world's first true artificial intelligence, and the fragments of her consciousness that make up her children, have been a fan-favourite faction since the very first game. The lore context in Ashes 2 is that Harley was originally built to support the Posthuman Directive, concluded that their expansion would trigger a second singularity, and moved to stop them. That puts them in direct conflict with both the Posthuman Coalition and the United Earth Force, which is the 3-faction war the game is built around. On the battlefield, the Substrate play differently to either of the other factions. Their shields regenerate independently without requiring downtime, keeping them in engagements longer under sustained fire. Their drone swarms push towards aggressive forward play and constant pressure. The featured units include the Hatchling, a small swarmer that spawns from egg clutches, the Overmind, a heavy support hovercraft that deploys drone swarms, and the Reaper, a frontline armoured hovercraft carrying a plasma launcher. The roster is now complete, the campaign is still coming, and the build that outperformed 3,000 other Next Fest games was missing all of this. Certainly one to watch. And now for the headlines. Steel Command is a classically built RTS from solo developer Smitty Games, set on the frontier world of Prosper, where 3 factions are fighting over yellow eco ore. The design philosophy is straightforwardly old school: base building, resource management, fog of war, kinetic combat, no energy shields. The 3 factions are the Allied Systems Coalition, a high-tech force with modular bases and orbital drop capability, the Core Operational Resistance, slow and heavily armoured survivors running junk tech, and the Integrated Vanguards Network, an automated swarm that recycles the battlefield to expand. The game comes with a mission editor built on the same tools used to make the campaign, with Steam Workshop support included. There is no release date yet, but a playtest is open on Steam this week, and you can request access now. Space Tales has launched into early access at $14.99. We covered this one back in October 2024 when the demo came out, and the main criticism was that the demo lacked a proper story campaign. Saigon Dragon Studios, a small indie team based in Vietnam, has spent the time since addressing exactly that. The early access build now includes 8 of the planned 13 campaign missions, following protagonist Xander through a story-driven RTS campaign with 2 distinct enemy factions. Saigon Dragon reached out to us this week to let us know the game was live and to ask us to revisit, which we will do on 30 Minutes Of. This is our new feature where we play a game for 30 minutes with no prep or script. If you are curious after the demo, there is now substantially more game to look at. Amplitude has hinted at a public test build for Endless Legend 2 this week, though they have stopped short of committing to a specific date. Endless Legend 2 is currently in early access, and the public test branch is the next major update going to wider testing before it rolls out to the main build. The last major update, Echoes of Creation, landed on March the 12th and brought custom factions, a district rework, AI improvements, and the Endless Monsoon event. Players who have raised concerns about scaling costs in the current build have been told the team is working on it, but it needs more time. If you're in the early access on EL2, keep an eye on the experimental branch available this week. That's all we have time for. Do me a favour and hit subscribe if you haven't already, and come and join the Critical Moves Discord server. There's a link in the description. This week's podcast episode is looking at DLC, the best, the worst, and everything in between. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Goodbye.